So what do you do when living out of balance gets hard? I'm going to answer two questions. The first is, what do you do? The second is, how do you make it more pleasurable? First, let me define what living out of balance is. It's your health, your physical health, your mental clarity, your emotional balance, how you feel, your wealth, your finances, more importantly, your spirituality, because wealth is spiritual, and your relationships, your sense of fulfillment, are so out of sync that one area seems to be suffering because you're pursuing in another area. Now, allowing this to happen or to go on too long can cause discomfort, dissatisfaction, and to a degree, despair, especially in the area of your relationships. And I'm going to talk about that specifically when I talk about how to make it more pleasurable. But one thing I want to share with you to keep in mind, those of us who are striving to reach a goal that we really have to pay the price for, getting to another level, is the worst problems you could have are the ones that money can't fix. I'm going to say that again. The worst problems any of us can have are the ones that money can't fix. Any problem in the area of your physical health, your mental clarity, your emotional balance, the area of your relationships, your sense of fulfillment, the area of your wealth, your spirituality. Those are the areas that are very important, the intangibles, to keep in place. Why? Because the area that we usually are out of sync that causes problems in the others are financial. So if you're out of balance, if you're pursuing a goal, it's usually because you want to get in a different place financially, with your cash flow, with your income. And not having enough money, not having the cash flow that you desire, affects all the other areas. Money is a horrible master, horrible, but it's an excellent servant. So let's talk about that particular space, because probably that's where you're out of sync. You're pursuing something that once you achieve it, all the other areas of your life will fall into place. So that's where you want to keep it. In a space, any issues, any problems you have, money can fix it once you get there. So now, what do you do about that? What you do is simply make it worth it. How do you do that? There's 4 areas I want to discuss. The first is to decide the term. How long is whatever you're doing, the activity that you're engaged in, the intensity of that activity, how long is it necessary? So decide in advance how much time you will commit, how much time you have. And sometimes you don't know initially, but decide either by time or by stage. When you get to a certain stage, you can begin to make sure everything is still in sync. Decide the time. Second, decide very clearly what the reward's going to be. That's the most important. Be clear about it. The reason as I discuss with you in a moment, why the reward has to be clear is because the reward has to be balanced with the effort that you're putting in, but it has to be balanced in another area as well that I'm going to share with you in a moment. So decide why it's important to you. Number 3, why is it important to you personally? How will you feel? How will the future you, your future self, feel once you achieve the goal? Here is the most important, because I mentioned before, decide what the reward's going to be. Decide that you're not willing to sacrifice the other areas of your life that are key. Your physical health, your mental clarity, because your mental clarity is what's moving you to get there. That will allow you to see where you're out of balance at. Your emotional balance, you don't sacrifice that, your spirituality, and you definitely don't sacrifice your relationships to get to wherever you want to go. So there's a balance there. Why? As I mentioned a few seconds ago, the worst problems you could have are the ones that money can't fix. So if we create problems in the area of our health, in the area of especially our relationships, family, friends that are supporting us, in the area of our spirituality, we're doing things that are not moral. If the pursuit is a certain financial space, a certain financial goal, once you get there, you'll feel empty because you've sacrificed too much to get there. Those 4 things. Decide the term, decide the reward, decide what it's going to be for you personally. See that very clearly, and also decide what you will not sacrifice to get there. Because sometimes you'll notice that whatever the goal is may not be worth the sacrifice or the cost that it gets there. That is where your mental clarity comes in. Okay, second part, how do we make this pleasurable? Because it's hard. There are sacrifices that you have to make that the average person does not have to make. They can come home and watch television 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week. You may not watch television at all. I haven't watched TV in decades. And I watch movies on Sunday just to have balance. And I do it at a certain time. I get my pleasure reading done in the morning on Sundays. And then may watch movies starting in the afternoon, right? That's a little out of balance. How do you move forward with that? Here's what you can do in your pursuit. Decide on what social events, what recreational events you'll engage in, because you need to have the break. For me personally, I will go, and I'm not very good at it just yet, but I'm getting there. I'll go and decide a concert that I want to attend, and I'll pick the date. Usually it's a month in advance, so I can get everything done, and that will be my reward. You can do the same thing. Decide something else I want to start doing is going to dance classes, right? Decide because that's a social interaction that you can enjoy, especially if you're in a relationship right now, someone significant, especially if you're married. Something you can do together, right? Everyone gets a break, so you can actually see the reward as you are on the road to achieving your goal. Number 3, something you can do that's very important: taking care of your physical health. Going to the gym, exercising on a consistent basis keeps your energy high. What that does is that compresses the time it takes for you to get to your goal, because you don't get burned out. Those are the things that you can do to make it pleasurable. Now, here's the last. Understand this, that the journey that you're on, you're not the only one that has been on the journey. You're not the only one that's been on the journey as long as you've been on there. And usually when you connect with others who have taken the path that you're on, you can see how much work they put in. You can see what the reward is because they're at the other side, and you can see what they did to get there. And you could pick what you should do or should not do, should not sacrifice, because you just have the example of someone else. You can get a coach, you can get a mentor, you can do reading, but decide in advance. Living out of balance, pursuing a goal can be hard, but it's necessary. It's part of the price, right? There is a fundamental spiritual principle, scriptural principle that says before glory, there is humility. That's why once you reach a level of success where you've gotten there from serving others, the humility is there, the modesty is there because you worked to get there. Your confidence is there as well, but the arrogance is not, because you worked and you did it in such a way where you're serving others. So everyone who has achieved a level of success sets a new bar, that has traveled the road that you're on. They've gotten there, they've succeeded. Here's one thing I want to share with you that's important, especially if you're an achiever. We measure against an ideal which is directly in front of us. We need to start measuring backwards, which is where we are today versus where we were, the progress that we've made 6 months, a year ago. And keep track of deadlines. It's very important. So you know whether you're on time, whether you're on track, how far off you may be as you balance the other areas of your life. Because it's like riding a bicycle. As long as you're looking ahead of you far enough, the bicycle will stay balanced as long as you're pedaling forward. The bicycle begins to go off balance if you look down and not ahead. So focus and balance, they complement each other, but there are times when you can't have both at the same time unless your focus is clear. So the amount of balance you have is the balance you need to stay focused. And then once you get there, all the other areas of your life that you've kept together will snap back in sync. That's the story I want to share with you. Hopefully it's something that I've shared with you will encourage you that if you're feeling down, to get back up, keep going. It's just part of the price. We all have to pay a price for the success that we want. The interesting thing is that we have to pay for it in full and in advance. So with that thought, I want to wish you all the blessings and success you deserve. Keep striving, keep getting there. Because once you arrive, the new person that you will become, that you must become to get there, will thank you for the price that you paid to achieve it. God bless.